Hello, my name is BC Oladipopo and welcome to my podcast. My website can be found at www.inspiredwords.org. Today I will be sharing on God's Original Intention, Part 3, Lessons from the Children of Israel. Many of us are familiar with the account of Moses bringing the children of Israel out of Egypt. Psalm 103 verse 7 reads, He made known his ways unto Moses, his acts unto the children of Israel. To know the ways of God requires a closer level of relationship with Him. Understanding a person's ways means understanding how they do things, not just seeing what they do. Moses had access to this, while the children of Israel did not. So what could have contributed to this difference? According to Exodus 19 verses 1 to 3, when the children of Israel got to the wilderness of Sinai, Moses went up onto the mountain to God, and God gave Moses instructions and words to the children of Israel. According to Exodus 19 verse 18, according to Exodus verse 19 verse 8, Moses returned to give the children of Israel the words of the Lord. Following that, the Lord gave Moses further instructions, which included all the children of Israel to come up to the mount. Exodus 19 verse 13, the latter part reads, And when the trumpet sounds long, they shall all come up to the mount. Note that Exodus 13 says that should all come up to the mount after the trumpet sounds for a long time. However, according to the rest of the account, only Moses went up to the mount. Exodus 19 verses 18 to 20, and I read, And Mount Sinai was altogether under smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire. And the smoke descended as the smoke of a furnace, and the mount quaked greatly. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long, and waxed louder and louder, Moses spoke, and God answered him by a voice. Verse 20, And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai, on the top of the mount, and the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mount, and Moses went up. As you can see here in verse 20, only Moses went up at the sound of the trumpet. However, all the children of Israel were invited up. We have further evidence of this in Deuteronomy chapter 5 verse 5. This gives further evidence of what happened. And I read Deuteronomy 5 verse 5. This is Moses speaking now. I stood between the Lord and you at that time. He is speaking to the children of Israel, to show you the word of the Lord. For you were afraid by reason of the fire, and went not up unto the mount. So we can see the children of Israel did not respond to God's invitation to come up to the mount because they were afraid. This is the God who brought them through so many trials with a strong hand in the land of Egypt. God parted the Red Sea for them. He was a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire to them, yet they did not respond to God, calling them closer unto himself. We all know that subsequently Moses spent 40 days and 40 nights with God in the mount. According to history, Moses wrote Psalm 91, which shows of intimacy with the Lord. There is no doubt that spending time with God changes a person, and only eternity will tell what the children of Israel missed out on by not going up to the mount. According to Exodus, only Moses went up. Subsequently, Israel only knew God's acts, while Moses knew his ways. Once again, we can see how choices can have far-reaching consequences. The majority of the time, when the Lord tells us to take a step, we don't know the implication of the step. We don't know. The best thing is always to obey the Lord. They might have just felt, oh, we're just going up to, listen to God. We can tell Moses to go up for us. But they had no idea that spending time with God will have actually impacted them. So my question for you today is this. Has the Lord been asking you to draw closer? Has the Lord been asking you to take certain steps that will bring you into a deeper walk with Him? I was speaking to someone about this recently, and his response was, crowds don't climb mountains, which means the journey to draw closer to God is a personal thing. Where God wants to take you to takes a personal commitment, independent of others. Perhaps it's time to say yes. God is love. We are His children. When He says draw closer, there's always a reason why. God wants us to know His ways and not just His acts. Will you say yes today? Will you pay that price? Will you do whatever it takes to have a closer walk with the Lord? Thanks for listening.